All right, gentlemen. Lee, you mentioned offline just now the NFL played two teams that
Mhm.
played against the Team USA flag football team. Getting ready for 2028. Flag football is going to be a part of the Olympics. Pretty much dismantled the NFL teams. I mean, really, really dismantled them. But as you guys know, we all played flag football. As you guys know, it is definitely a different game. It's
It
not
is.
it's not the same kind of game as NFL strategies. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is strategy. I'm not making any light of flag football because there's some leagues out there. It's serious. It's a serious. But you could see that these guys, they play different. The strategy is different. And everything is different about the NFL. You had players. You had Joe Burrow was out there. Jalen Hurts was out there. You had Saquon Barkley out there. You had Tom Brady out there. You had quite a few notable NFL players out there, and they really got boathoused in these games, man. And it was interesting to see how the NFL players really I don't know. A question that I got for you guys is do you think by the time 2028 come around, and I don't want to diss the team USA because these guys been putting in the work, over the last couple of years. Can the NFL even can the NFL do a good job, enough of a job by 2028, sort of like how the NBA players are playing in the Olympics? And NFL players surpass at some point the flag football players, Team USA, and eventually make that happen? Or is Team USA it? Like this is like these are the top flag football players in the country, and this is who should be representing the United States. I want to hear what you guys got to say about this.
That's a tough question, right? Because it puts the NFL and the game, the sport, I think, in a precarious situation. And what I mean by that is that the NFL, they want to attach themselves to flag football. Okay. It helps the sport, it helps bolster the brand, right? It all, and of course, there's a lot of money involved with this. Okay. So that's priority number one. The best way to do that is to have some of your well-known NFL athletes partake and be a part of this event. The problem is that the sport is different than that of technical football. Where it is similar in the football aspect is the fact that it's the ultimate team game, meaning you have to have a high level of synergy and cohesiveness in order to be highly effective in what you're doing in that sport. When you have a team like Team USA, who's been playing for I don't know how many years, who have that synergy, who put in the work, right? Who, timeless, countless games, they have the hours, probably 10,000 hours demanded in order to be, a certain level of professional in that particular realm and sport. And then you got a bunch of guys who are high profile NFL athletes, but they don't know that much about this particular sport because they play a different type of football. And you're expecting them to come in and do the same thing that these guys are doing. That's not realistic. It's not. So now what does the NFL do? Because now if the better team is what you want to put out there to represent the USA, it should be Team USA. Can NFL players catch up? Maybe, but to what detriment, right? Because you're going to have to put in the time. And if you put in the time, that takes away from what you're doing as a professional football player. It's not like with Team USA basketball. It's the 92 team that just stepped on the Olympic stage and dominated. It's basketball. They weren't even playing Euro style basketball at that time. They were just playing American style basketball, and they licked everybody that came in front of them. This isn't that. If this was an Olympic football, tackle football sport, yeah, of course, you got to put them guys out there. But I don't think 2 years is enough time for them to catch up to Team USA, because it's not like Team USA is going to be resting on their laurels during that time before the Olympics. Burrow is going to have to go back to training camp. He's going to go back and have to play, for the Bengals and try to win them a Super Bowl. He don't have time to worry about flag football for 6, 7 months out of the year, while Team USA, they're still putting in their work. So I don't see a situation where you're going to have a team front loaded with high profile NFL players. Maybe you can get some, and even the some that you do get, they're probably going to be the bench guys, right? Coming in because they got the time. They got the time to put in to learn the sport and probably take extra reps with flag football teams and figure out how they can insert themselves into the team. Or maybe even like practice squad guys. But like the Bradys and the Burrows and all that stuff, in order for that to happen, there's going to have to be some sort of a mandate to make sure that those guys are in there. And I don't know if that's going to be for the betterment of the team.
All really good points. First and foremost, the last thing America needs is to lose, not bring home the gold medal
Right.
the first time there's flag football. Because you ain't
Be
hear the end of it. Whatever country it is, they're going to brag till the end of days. USA has to send the best players to the best chance to bring home the gold. As you said, the Team USA, they doing flag football. That's all they've been doing. They're exceptional at it. Tennis, squash, badminton, pickleball, table tennis are all similar, but they're all really different. And you can't be the best at one and then just go jump to the other one because it's a paddle sport and think you're going to dominate that too. With flag football, the angles are different where the rush is coming to the quarterback. The way people run with the ball to avoid being tackled is different. They going up high and low and they twist in and got the flags flapping around, very different than tackle, which means you tackling is going to be different too, because they just trying to move the waist in a whole different kind of ways. They ain't worried about getting hit. You don't have the helmets and the pads, all the other stuff. So like, there's so many things that are changed about the sport, going from flag football to tackle football and vice versa. Yeah, I think, it might be nice that there may be one or two NFL players, whether they're starters or they're backups in the NFL, that are able to like make the squad. But I don't think you're going to see an NFL loaded squad go into the Olympics and representing the NFL on Team USA. I think the folks who are on Team USA right now they are the best at flag football, and it would be a disservice to them and a disservice to the country if you decide to put NFL players on there just because they're NFL players and they may get more eyes, but they're not the best guys to represent the team, represent the country in the Olympics.
You know what NFL players that could possibly make the squad? Like you mentioned, Links, before we recorded that RG3 was interested, right? If he dedicates himself for the next 2 years, he's not on an NFL team, right? So if he dedicates himself for the next 2 years, yeah, I can see him making the team, right? I saw Odell Beckham was out there. He's not on the squad. If he dedicates himself for the next 2 years and that's all he's doing, yeah, he can definitely make the team. I see that, but I don't see full-time starting NFL superstars, right, being able to flip and just jump from tackle football to an Olympic flag football team. I just don't see that happening.
That's it. That's definitely that's definitely a good point. The only thing I could think of from an NFL perspective, why they would push NFL players to try and be, and like you said, Lee, that's a good point. Former NFL players that are still in shape, still can dedicate that time. Definitely could see that. But if from a USA standpoint, I know the USA always likes attention, right? So their attention lies with the players that are globally known all around the world. So Team USA, nobody knows Team USA, right? Nobody knows
Right.
anybody that's on Team USA team. So they're nameless guys. However, like you said, Doc, yes, they can come in and and they better win the gold, right? They better, with that. No other team should be better, but you'll be surprised to see what's going to come. That's going to be interesting. But I could see the NFL wanting to push NFL players because
They're going
of
to.
the celebrity of it and make it more appealing for people to watch. So I don't know. I think the former player who's still in shape could do it. But I could just see the NFL pushing the celebrity aspect of it so people can watch it even more.
There's too much money to be made for them not to do it.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the disappointing factor in all of this. that is going to oversee, the essence of finding the right players for the
Right.
team. They're
Yeah.
just going to put a couple of players in there for that celebrity aspect because they want to market it. They want to generate money. They want to generate interest. There's way too much money involved here,
Yeah.
potential money. So, yeah,
Yeah.
you're going to get some NFL players in there. Don't know if that's going to be for the betterment of the team. I doubt that it will.
Another aspect to it, right? As the NFL has more and more international games,
Hmm.
they're hoping to grow the sport internationally, and flag football is going to be their stepping stone, right? So now you have the kids in Brazil, in Spain, in France, in Germany, who may have never thought of playing in the NFL, but hey, I can represent my country in flag football. And for all your skill positions, it's still a jump, but it's not as huge of a jump going from flag football to trying to compete in the NFL versus doing, let's say, rugby or basketball or soccer, trying to make that transition, right? So I think it's another way that the NFL is going to try to increase not just the number of people who may watch pro football, but also potentially increase their international cadre of prospects. And they bring in folks every year, usually rugby players, Aussie rules football players,
Yeah.
but trying to improve that too over the years. So there's a longer term aspect to this too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely interested to see over the next couple of years what transpires with flag football. It's going to be interesting, regardless. I'm going to watch, I'm going to watch flag football in the Olympics. I'm really excited to see
But yeah,
how that's going to turn out. So Jackson Smith and Jigba, just signed his contract extension, 4 years, 168.6 million, making him the NFL's highest paid receiver at 42.15 million per year. That includes 120 million in guaranteed money that runs through the 2031 season. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Man. Lee, let me ask you a question. When is Puka Nakua, what did he sign a recent contract? Didn't he sign a recent
no,
contract?
no,
No.
no.
Okay. So is he still on his rookie deal?
But he's
Man,
due.
You do.
He's
he is.
due. And
He's
This is the
due.
last
Yeah.
year, right?
this is the last, well, this is was this his third year or fourth year?
I think
This
it's
is
his
third
third
year.
year. Yeah.
His third year, yeah. So this is the last year for him. Yeah.
Boy, that's gonna be,
Yeah.
my goodness. Boy,
Mhm.
it's going to be serious to try and lock up a player like Puka Nakua. You see Jackson Smith and Jigba doing this. I'm happy for the young man, that he's able to do this. He got himself set there in Seattle. He's gonna be there for a long time. People are now, even more now, are gonna be, you know, keying on him and eyeing on him. You guys get to see him twice a year. So you guys are really familiar with him in Seattle. But let me tell you, man, I think he deserves it. I think he really jumped on the scene. I know you guys probably watching him from college days. I just know him from recently in the NFL and what he's been doing there in Seattle. They getting rid of DK Metcalf, who was the proverbial number one receiver, and he was there, and they believed in him enough to say, get rid of DK. Jackson Smith and Jigba is ready to take this team on his shoulders and make it happen. And he absolutely did that. So it's gonna be that NFC West, boy. That's gonna be some battles out there. Hey, that is gonna be a interesting battles out there because the 49ers doing stuff too. But again, hey, I'm happy for Jackson Smith and Jigba with his contract, man. I think he deserves it.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, he definitely, look, the timing was right. Even though he still had time left on his contract, Seattle, they didn't rest on their laurels. He was a first round pick. They could have, put in the 5th-year option as well. They're like, no, let's get this over. Let's get it done. Get ahead of the curve, right?
Yeah.
Which is the smart thing to do. That's smart business.
Yep.
You made mention of the DK Metcalf situation when he was there at the time along with Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think that's an important note because during that time when DK Metcalf left, you heard stories from other players on other teams thinking that JSN was soft. That was the talk, that he was a soft obviously they said he complained all the time. He wouldn't be able to take on the mantle of that number one receiver title. And so there was some question about that, but obviously Seattle saw it, they knew it, which is why they moved off of DK Metcalf, put JSN there, and he did not disappoint. He did not disappoint at all. So watched him in Ohio State. In Ohio State, over the past couple of years, they've just been riddling off great receivers into the league, and he's definitely one of them. And he's the type of guy that you want as your foundational piece. He's a foundational piece. They're not paying Donald a whole lot of money, so they have the room to do this and getting ahead of the future contracts that they're going to have to pay out, coming forward. So yeah, good business, good for JSN, and this also gives JSN time because of the timing. I think this is like 4 years. He can get another big contract if he continues to play at a high level. So everybody wins in this situation.
Yeah. Happy for JSN. It now moves the market forward for what you pay a top tier wide receiver, but happy for him. I think it's smart for Seattle, like Lee says, you get on top of it, you get ahead of it early. The same way Kansas City made that record deal with Mahomes a few years ago, and it seemed ridiculous, and now they're getting Mahomes on the cheap when you kind of compare it. I think for a team like the Rams, because Puka Nakua's thing is going to be coming up, they're paying Stafford good money, but Stafford's 1 year, maybe two. They'll be looking for someone in the future. Paying a wide receiver, 40, 42, whether Puka gets past it or close to it, they'll be able to handle it. I do think this is bad news for Dallas Cowboys fans because you've got, George Pickens, who is on the franchise tag, only making 28 this year. And do you want to have him long term when CeeDee's making 34 and Dak's making 60?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be much harder if he's trying to get top of the line money. That bar has been moved. Now it is 42.15. So, and I think Pickens got the same agent with Micah Parsons, and he saw how move the bar forward with that edge rusher contract. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting how this goes. But overall, yeah, I think it was a smart move by Seattle just to do it, get it over and done with, and then you don't have to worry about kicking the can forward, paying him 45 or 46 average next year or 2 years from now.
Definitely smart. Unlike the Mike McCarthy and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are not smart. Why? Why is this dude trying to wait on Aaron Rodgers? He expressed an interest in having Aaron Rodgers reunite, coming to Pittsburgh. Old man just need to retire. Just retire, dude. What are you doing? Why? I mean, in his defense, he hadn't said anything, right? He hadn't said anything. This is Mike McCarthy saying he would love to have a reunion. So he extending his hand, and saying, hey, I'm extending my hand. If you want to shake it and come on, come on. It's not going to make a difference, Pittsburgh. Please, save your team. Do something different. Have a stopgap, unless they saying we're gonna have him again this year as another stopgap, and then get one of the QBs out of the draft next year. But don't they have Quinn Ewers there? They have Ewers, right?
Do they?
Do they have who's there?
We're from Ohio State.
Will Howard.
Howard.
Will Howard.
Yes. So they have just roll with Howard. Roll with Howard. And if you need to go with somebody else after this in the next draft, in the 2027 draft, go and make the change then. But please leave Aaron Rodgers alone. I mean, Mike McCarthy within itself, that hire, I don't know what's going on in Pittsburgh. They have not made these kind of deals in forever. I don't know what's going on. The hire to hire Mike McCarthy, that alone was idiotic in my opinion. I don't know any Look, if any Steeler fans are listening to the podcast, watching the podcast, I need y'all to come in the comments right now, and I need you to put in the comment what you believe Mike McCarthy is going to do for your Pittsburgh Steelers, and what do you believe Aaron Rodgers is going to do? Do you guys believe in Aaron Rodgers, and do you believe in Mike McCarthy? I need to hear from that. But what you guys think about this, man?
I don't blame Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy is doing there's only so much he can do. And he has to say what he's saying, right? he can't come in there and start rocking the boat and start sowing seeds of contention. He can't do that, right? So yeah, we're waiting. We would love to have him. I don't think McCarthy wants him. The problem, I think, the issue is with Omar Khan, right? Omar Khan, the GM. I think he's done a poor job these past couple of seasons of trying to find a succession to this quarterback position. I think Mason Rudolph is still the backup. I think it's Mason Rudolph, and then you got Will Howard, where I think I like Will Howard. I like the potential of Will Howard, but he's unproven. He didn't play a lick last season. When he was a rookie. You look at him, you can see he has the physical traits, he has the attributes. He came from a big time school where he performed very well in, high intense games, right? So he has that going for him. He can make a lot of the throws, but we haven't seen him in real-time game action, so we don't know what's there. But your only tried true option behind Rodgers is Mason Rudolph. So it doesn't put McCarthy in a position of strength to say, hey, we don't need Rodgers. He needs Rodgers. Unfortunately, he needs Rodgers to come back at this point because Khan hasn't given him there's no other options there. So yeah, you put it on Omar. Don't put it on McCarthy.
Yeah. So, sometimes folks, get divorced and then they realize things are kind of rough and they start, reunite with the old flame and things wasn't as bad as it used to be. And then they get back together like, oh no, I forgot. This is the reason why we split, right? So I think right now you've heard Rodgers say it in the past, McCarthy more recently, no, things are good. We got along really well when we were together and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, y'all clearly forgot the discontent and the disagreements you all had because y'all speaking nice about each other as if like something forced you guys to separate and you're hoping to reunite and rekindle the flame. I do agree with Lee. The GM for Pittsburgh has been underwhelming in terms of the talent that Pittsburgh has. Typically, they've been really great through the draft. I don't think they've got great talent through the draft the last few years. They've missed on quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett included, right? And so now they're asking the 40-plus-year-old to potentially come back to reunite with his old head coach and see what happens. And remember, they didn't sign McCarthy for Aaron Rodgers. He's the quarterback whisperer. So even if they don't get Rodgers, McCarthy's their guy to develop the young quarterback, whether it's Will Howard or someone else in the draft, to lead Pittsburgh to the promised land. And the last 3 head coaches for Pittsburgh have all brought home at least one Lombardi. So that's the standard. That's what Mike McCarthy has to deal with. He's a Pittsburgh guy. He's got to bring home a Lombardi, or he's not gonna hit that bar. So,
and you know what, Doc? I've heard I heard that as well in terms of that description or that label that's been placed on McCarthy just recently, which I've never heard that before this season, and that is him being a quarterback whisperer.
Yep,
I've never heard that up until this season, and I want to know what quarterback he whispered to. I really do. Like, and and like you talking to people in the comments, like, I don't know, beat me up on this one, right? But I need to know. He didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Alex Smith?
No, he don't. With the San Francisco 49ers. Look this stuff up. Look this stuff up. Who did he whisper to?
For those who don't know, my laugh is being very facetious right now.
I know. Yeah. But like he started with the 49ers, at least not started, but that's where I remember him, right? Where he made a name for himself. And this was the 49ers when Mike Singletary was the head coach. That team was atrocious. Not because of Singletary. The team was just collectively bad, right? But you had Mike McCarthy, who was the offensive coordinator of that team. That offense was okay. Somehow he gets the head coaching job with Green Bay after that. And by that time, Aaron Rodgers was already a made man. Okay. I don't think he did anything. Let me not say that. I think his contributions to Aaron Rodgers' success is not as great as people may think it was. Okay. Especially knowing how Aaron Rodgers operate. where he basically calls his own plays or changes plays at the line of scrimmage, kind of does his own thing, which created that contention between he and McCarthy at that time, which caused McCarthy to get ousted, right? And brought LaFleur in. So I don't give McCarthy a lot of credit to the success of Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, he won a Super Bowl. That's fine. That's great. He was a head coach. But I don't think he really instilled a lot of growth into Rodgers. Beat me up on that. I don't care. Then he goes to Dallas. And we all know how that went. So yeah, I just don't know where that label, that tag of him being a quarterback whisperer, I just don't know where that comes
Not to pile on, but when folks are like, oh, I think went to 2 Super Bowls and won one, it's like, you were in one of the best organizations in pro football with a Hall of Fame quarterback, and you only make it to 2 and win one? That's not celebration. That should be considered underachievement. So I think the quarterback label comes from him having worked with Aaron Rodgers. But to your point, I don't think he developed Aaron Rodgers very much. And part of why he got ousted was his offense became very predictable and very bland. And he didn't change it up much when he came to Dallas. In fact, he had to borrow the Kellen Moore playbook, dust it off, and start calling those plays for a couple of years. And so we'll see what happens in Pittsburgh. So
yeah, he didn't watch any film. He didn't watch anything.
right. No. Don't just gloss over that, right?
Yeah.
Don't gloss over that. He lied.
He lied
In the interview
embellished
about the dude.
Embellished.
I know you're being facetious. I get it, right? But it irks me, man. Like, he lied in the interview talking about all the due diligence that he put in, the time that he put in to prepare. And then once he gets the job, he's like, yeah, I didn't do that stuff.
I watched every play, every down of the Dallas Cowboys that previous season.
That is crazy.
Well, maybe not. Not every play.
That is crazy to me.
I don't even know how that happens. But again, I know how that happens. It was Dallas, and it was Jerry. So there you go.
But no links. But now, but he still gets hired.
But yes, he still gets hired.
He still gets hired. And he's still being given the benefit of the doubt.
Yes, and right, he gets hired again, and now in Pittsburgh again after all of that, after admitting all of that. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah, that could only happen in certain places with certain people. So I'll leave it there.
Yeah, let's leave that alone.
Yeah. Levante David, linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 14-year career spent, entirely pretty much with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Retires at the age of 36. I wanted to ask you, while you guys were talking, I was looking this up too with Levante David.
Mm-hmm.
He was the team's all-time co-leader in tackles with 1,714. He's definitely a franchise icon there in Tampa Bay. And I was looking at this. He's 36 years old. Ray Lewis retired when he was 37. So I guess that's around the age for linebackers to kind of really hang it up, when you're looking at, or Lee, you shaking your head, talk to me. What you saying?
No, that's not around that's not normal.
Yeah.
That's not normal. Those are great players.
Yeah.
Levante David, he's a great player.
Yeah.
Right. That is the model of consistency. That's taking care of yourself. That's playing at a high clip. That's teams wanting to keep you on the roster because you're still productive past 30. Not every linebacker is going to make it to 36, 37. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
14 years in the NFL when the average is 2 years or something like that? For 2 years
for an NFL player.
For an NFL player, yeah. That's huge. He definitely will go down. Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Not a first ballot, but I think he's going to make it in at some point.
Yeah. That's definitely a storied career, man. It's to see him do that in Tampa Bay, and he did win a Super Bowl, right?
With Brady.
With Brady, yes. He won Super Bowl with Brady, so he's done it all. He did it, and so he got the Super Bowl, and so amazing career for Levante David.
Here's the the clickbait. So we know Derek Brooks is the greatest linebacker to play for the Bucks ever. Right? I'll still put Derek Brooks ahead of him. The question is him versus Hardy Nickerson.
Dragon, El Don
El Dragon, right?
El Dragon.
I figure because of the longevity and the Super Bowl, I put David ahead, but you just can't even slam him in as the second greatest linebacker in the history of the Buccaneers. They've had some really good linebackers in their organization.
Yeah, I forgot that.
The longevity and the consistency is what's going to really bolster his legacy.
Yeah, that's beyond fathomable. And you put that in perspective when like you were saying, that's not normal. 37 years of age. Think about it.
That position.
Yes.
At that position.
You roaming the field. Yes, you and hitting and yes. That's serious right there. So, tip my cap to him, man.
I don't need to take his DNA and study it. I don't understand how some of these people play 14, 15, 60 years, don't miss many games at that kind of position. Like, that's,
And you know what, Doc? And I'm not making light of this. It's a serious topic, but it's something that I always kind of I focus in on when I'm looking at certain NFL players and see what their mental state is at. And if you see like a drastic change from when they came in to a couple of years in, has the collisions impacted anything, right, cognitively? Listening to him just today on some of the interviews after they announced his retirement, and he's congenial, he's of sound mind, he's sharp, he's eloquent with his speech, right? And it's like you wouldn't think that this guy played that many years in the NFL, right? So that there's something to be said about that. When you talk about studying their DNA, like you have to be very special, built in a way to be able to endure all of those collisions for all of those years and come out seemingly unscathed. We don't know what his personal life is like. But basically from the outside looking in, it doesn't look like he's played that many years in the NFL.
Yeah, that's impressive, and hopefully it does continue like that. That just tells you he definitely took care of himself. He definitely took care of himself, and that's huge. So he definitely is someone that young people could study, young players can study to keep your body and mental state at a point. So hopefully, like you said, we don't know all the personal stuff and what goes on behind the scenes, but from a football perspective and just being in front of the camera and that, he definitely is handling himself as a consummate professional.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Lastly, NFL draft, April 23rd, 25th, 2026. They said that this is the worst quarterback draft ever. This is what they say. Like, this is the worst NFL quarterback class ever. I mean, you mean to tell me, okay, all right, Lee, I know I give this to you. I give this to you and Doc on this because there's no court. I mean, what surely one or two of these guys are actually going to turn out to be somebody. I mean, even though they're saying it's the worst class ever, I think one or two of these guys are going to, any names you could throw out there that might could turn into something.
The first overall pick, the guy that they're presuming to be the first overall pick, Fernando Mendoza. Like, I think he's definitely going to be a good quarterback in the league. How good? Don't know. But he has all of the traits, all of the qualities. He has the build. He has the mechanics. Seems like he has the intellect. He's going to be put in a good position with this new Raiders staff, right? With Clint Kubiak, and they're emphasizing the line of scrimmage, making sure that he has a good center and a good line to protect him. He has a good running back behind him with Ashton Genty. They're going to give him some weapons in this draft and probably some more in free agency. I think he's going to be a good pro. I think he has everything laid out in front of him to be successful. Outside of that, they're probably right. There seems to be a considerable dip in projection with some of the quarterbacks after him. But I think Ty Simpson comes up as the second guy. And albeit he only has 15 starts in college, which that doesn't give you a lot to work with. But in the 15 starts, he started off really hot. He started off the season last season as the number one guy over for Mendoza, and then it trailed off. He fell off of a cliff. And some of that, not just for him, but I think for the other guys, the Cade Klubnik, the Drew Alla, and even the Carson Beck, right? Who Carson Beck, he made it to the championship game and played against Mendoza playing for the Hurricanes. But going back to Ty Simpson, he didn't have a lot of help around him. Okay. So we just talked about it with the flag football and how, this is a team sport. You need a lot of pieces to help you be as successful as you can possibly be. Ty Simpson didn't have like those pieces. He didn't get a lot of protection. He was getting hit. He didn't have a firm running game. So guys weren't stacking the box. They were just, going back in coverage. So there was a lot working against him. And that's why his play dropped off. And it didn't seem as if he had a lot of plays that lend to his, well, not a lot of plays, but it didn't seem like the plays evolved the way that they needed to compensate for those issues that they were encountering on the offensive side. So that's kind of why he dipped off. And then with Drew Alla, he got hurt. His tape still doesn't look that great last season when he was playing. So I think that's why he's going to fall a little bit lower. But Carson Beck, I think he's going to be a good pro as well, being put in the right system. I think the problem is, and I can go down the list, right? And we'll talk about all this a little bit later when we get closer to the draft.
Yeah.
The problem here, Lynx, is that all of these quarterbacks are offensive coordinator dependent. What do I mean by that? They don't have any one elite physical trait that blows people away, right? They're not on the level of a Cam Newton. They don't run as fast as a Michael Vick, right? There's not that one unique trait that these guys have that will say, hey, no matter the situation you put them in, they can go in there and they can survive. They can be an adequate quarterback. So they do need a lot of help, but you can't expect year after year to have, a Caleb Williams show up. That's just not going to happen. A Jaden Daniels, that doesn't happen every year. So what you need to have is teams to be able to properly evaluate, and you need to have a division on that team that is able to identify and develop these guys. So all of these pundits out, not the pundits, but the scouts out there or the GMs, whoever's saying that this is a weak quarterback class, I call them you're weak talent evaluators, because these guys are still good enough to come into the league and play football, but you need to set them up for success. And these teams, they do a poor job of setting up these quarterbacks for success, and then they put all the blame on the quarterback. It's BS. Yeah.
Couple of things to add to that. Nowadays, of course, it is a quarterback-centric league, right? You're not handing the ball to the running backs. It's not like the three-down running backs like it used to be. That would then make play action and the passing game much more of a surprise. So now you're asking these guys to pretty much put the game on their shoulders because you don't have the running back really to lean on. Like maybe it's like 5-6 teams, you're starting to see a little bit of a resurgence of it. So if you have these quarterbacks who, back in the day, the Mark Rippons, the Phil Sims, guys who were good, they weren't Dan Marino's and John Elway's, but with a good running game and a good defense, they can win you championships. Now it's like, hey, if you can't carry a team like John Elway, you can't carry a team like Marino, you can't carry a team like a Warren Moon type thing. And I'm not even talking championships, but like carry the team every single game, win us the game, then you suck as a quarterback, because we're not going to give you support and we're going to call plays as if you are that kind of guy, because we don't even know how to call a balanced game and keep the defense on its toes. As for the whole thing about this draft class being the worst draft class ever, folks have forgotten about the most recent 2021 class with, Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones. They forget about 2013 EJ Manuel and Geno Smith. Geno Smith has now been good enough that at least gives that draft class a little bit of credence. 2010 with Sam Bradford, who mostly because of injuries, and Tim Tebow. And please let us not forget about 2007, yes. Brady Quinn, Kevin Cobb, John Beck, and everybody's favorite, sipping on the sip syrup, Jamarcus Russell,
Marcus Russell.
which led to the quarterback, the rookie wage scale. They put so much money into Jamarcus Russell, and he was so bad that it led to them coming to negotiate and saying, hey, rookies
We
can
got to
only
start
get
paying these
so much
guys.
money. So we can idiot-proof our draft picks. Because
I think he got $70 million, right? It's like 70 million.
Yes.
As a rookie before he even stepped on the field.
Yes. I think what year was it? I think we're just getting to the point now where like the number one picks are making more money total than what Jamarcus Russell made when he signed. Like it has just caught back up to that much money what the number one pick makes to equal what Jamarcus Russell made back then, which then led to the rookie wage scale. So yeah,
And the salary cap back then was a lot lower.
Was a lot lower. Yeah. Yes. So yeah. So I don't think I don't think this one is going to be the worst one of all time. Now, I do think it's one guy that people think could be good and other folks who are going to need some work for development. And to Lee's point, I 100% agree. The league does a poor job of developing quarterbacks. And back in the day, you didn't have to develop them quite so much because you had a running game for support. But they don't have that nowadays. So there you go.
And to Doc's point, like you had John Elway, that point about John Elway carrying a team. He didn't win a Super Bowl until he had a running back. Right? He needed Terrell Davis in order to win those 2 Super Bowls he got. But yeah, these guys, they got to do a much better job developing quarterbacks. Right? It's really bad. The quarterback in this draft, they got talent. Like I said, Cade Klubnik, he's talented. Okay, Drew Alla, he's raw, but he's talented. Okay, Ty Simpson, he's talented. So they Carson Beck. So they got guys. They have guys. The coaching is what really matters now.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, I'm interested to see how this QB class actually pans out and what they do because there's always surprises. Things always happen with every draft. We know how it goes. Some players gonna come out of nowhere and do some amazing things in their career. So can't wait till the draft. I know as we getting up to it, we're gonna be talking about that in depth, going through some of the rounds. Lee, I think we got a live show for that. We plan it. So I think
I think we're going to broadcast for the entirety of the first round.
Yeah. So we that's definitely going to be a doozy. That's going to be a good one. We can watch it as we talk through it. So looking forward to that. But all right, fellas, it's a good one. We'll chop this up and jump back on the next one, man.
Good.
All right.
All right.
Later.
Yep.